Are you frustrated by the low number of views that you see on your Instagram stories day after day, but you're uncertain of how to change that and increase the reach of your stories? Then you are in the right place, because in today's video, I'm going to be sharing the formula for getting more views on your Instagram stories. If you've seen any of my videos before, then you probably know that I am low-key obsessed with Instagram stories. I think it is such a fun way to connect with your audience and create really fun and unique content. But unfortunately, I think a lot of people are kind of misusing Instagram stories or missing out on some of the opportunity that they have with that content because they misunderstand how Instagram stories work and how they're typically consumed by people on Instagram. Today, I want to talk about my formula for creating Instagram stories that are really engaging, stories that people look forward to, and stories that are actually going to be seen by as much of your audience as possible. Now, I think a lot of people like to click on these sort of videos because they think they're going to get some quick tips and easy ideas to make their stories magically be in front of more people. But the fact is, the formula that I'm going to share with you is not a quick switch. It's actually an entire structure and mindset and approach to Instagram stories. So it's not going to change your reach overnight. But what I'm suggesting is, over time, after implementing this over days and weeks and months, you're going to see some real growth in terms of the engagement on your stories, the reach, and eventually the growth of your whole account. So keep that in mind as I go through these steps, because it's not going to happen that fast. And I think it's important to remind you all of that, because I think a lot of people search around on YouTube for Instagram advice to gain 1,000 followers overnight or instantly double their Instagram story reach with one tip. And it's just not going to happen. I'm just going to tell you, there's nothing that will actually do that. This is a structure and an approach and a strategy that will help you see increases over time. So with that being said, let's dive into what this formula is. Based on how the Instagram algorithm works, based on user behavior on Instagram and how people like to consume content on the platform, the formula that I follow to create engaging and far-reaching Instagram stories is providing value plus being consistent equals increased reach on your Instagram stories. And I know you might see that and think, oh my gosh, that is so simple. I clicked on this video just to learn that. But the difficulty actually comes in the implementation. It's really easy to say, I know I need to provide value and I know I need to be consistent. But what I want to talk about are ways that you can actually execute on that and implement it in your strategy, because it is difficult to do. It does take a lot of work, but it is also the only effective way at increasing your reach and getting more eyes on your content. So let's start with providing value. This is probably going to be a mindset shift for some of you, because I think a lot of people think about Instagram stories as just a way to do a quick update or check-in, post about what you're doing that day, or throw up a quick poll or question box if you're looking for information. But I want you to start thinking about Instagram stories as a way that you can provide value to your followers. How can you educate, encourage, or entertain them in some way through your stories? Rather than thinking about your feed content as your main pillar content and where you put in all the effort and energy to planning a strategy around it, and then your stories just being, oh, if I think of it, I'll post a story, I want you to apply the same amount of effort and energy that you do for your feed posts onto your story posts. This can look a lot of different ways depending on how it fits into your current content creation process. But one suggestion I would have for you, if you struggle to come up with ideas for what to post on your stories in a given day, what I would suggest is brainstorming a list of different ways that you can show up on stories, provide value, educate, encourage, or entertain, and have that list always available so that on any given day you can pick it up, pick one of those things on the list, and then do that in your stories. I actually have a video of 10 Instagram story ideas for when you don't know what else to post, and that is a really great place to start with this, because it basically just gives you a prompt for something to post about, rather than just starting to record and telling people what's on your to-do list for the day. Maybe sometimes that is the value you want to provide, to give an insight into how you do your work, what your creative process looks like. That's totally fine, but you don't want to be falling into that pattern every single day, because that isn't really providing value to your audience. I also really want to encourage you to tell a story with it. It's funny because these are actually called stories. So think about how you can give a beginning, a middle, and end, what is the takeaway from your Instagram story. Think about what people are going to remember after they finish watching those, 30 seconds of video from you. The way that I really like to think about it is actually apply the strategies and mindset that I used to use for creating my YouTube vlogs back when my channel used to be more focused on travel and vlogging, and use those strategies to create basically a little vlog in Instagram stories. You obviously want to be careful with this and don't make it too long, especially when it comes to just the talking head clips, because really more than 2 or 3 of those in a row, I see a huge drop in engagement and story views. This might be something you've noticed as well, but I know that if I post 2 video clips in a row of me talking, I'll pretty much maintain the number of viewers from one to the next. But as soon as I post 3 or 4, I'm seeing a huge drop off in viewership with each additional video. So definitely think about that when you are putting together your vlog or story for Instagram stories. The way I like to think about it is the same way that you would create a vlog for YouTube, and that is varying up the shots. So don't make it all just sitting in front of the camera and talking. Think about how you can show what you're doing in your day, what's going on around you, what is in your environment, what kind of actions are you taking. Rather than telling the whole story, think about how you can show it. By varying up these different kinds of shots, I see a huge increase in engagement. So for example, recently I talked about a little DIY that I did in our living room where we hung up some plants on pulleys. And I created a story where I talked about how we did it, how we use it, and a couple of the details about the DIY. And I found that I had way more sustained engagement across all of these videos because I was varying up the shot. I went from talking to the camera to demonstrating how I put my plant in the pulley and lower it and raise it, and then again showing more details about what supplies are involved. So by varying up the different visuals, you're keeping people engaged and entertained and providing value in more ways. Whereas if I would have just explained the entire thing by sitting in front of the camera and talking, I definitely would have seen a huge decrease in the number of viewers by the last clip. So when you're brainstorming your content that's going to provide value on stories, I would recommend thinking about storyboarding it out. If you're unfamiliar, a storyboard is a way that filmmakers basically sketch out each different scene that they're going to try to capture in their videos. So I do this when I'm creating certain YouTube videos, and you can use this to create your Instagram stories as well. So literally just get a piece of paper, draw out some 9:16 roughly aspect ratio boxes, and then fill it in with whatever sketch you think that you'd like to put in that frame. Trust me, your drawing skills do not need to be good at all to do this. It's just a matter of getting your ideas on paper so that you can reference them later and make sure that you're varying up your visuals enough to keep it engaging. I know this might seem like a lot for some of you for Instagram stories, especially if your approach up until now has just been resharing posts and, randomly posting a selfie or a poll. But trust me, you will see a drastic increase in your engagement and your story views when you start to implement some of these tips, because it's going to help you stand out from the other people in stories, and it's just another great way that you can provide value and connect with your audience. If you're worried about putting a lot of time into these clips when they only last in your story for 24 hours, then definitely think about how you can organize your highlights to capture some of these stories and let them live on your profile a little bit longer. So for instance, I just gave the example of the DIY that I did recently. Well, I've got a DIY highlight on my profile so people can go back and look through the different projects that I've done to renovate my condo. I also have a highlight for Instagram tips, so lots of people coming to my profile might be interested in some advice around Instagram, and I've got that stored there as well. Highlights are a great way to store your story content, but it's also a great way for a new potential follower to get to know you and help decide if they want to follow you or not. So if you've got some really impressive highlights that demonstrate how fun and engaging your stories are, people are probably going to be more excited about following you. All right, so that's the side of the equation that's all about providing value. Hopefully I've convinced you that it's important to do more than just a quick check-in or update post. We want to tell a story with our Instagram story content. The other side, and arguably the even harder part of this equation, is being consistent. I know this probably sounds like a really big commitment, but I highly suggest if you are on a mission to increase those story views and get that engagement up, definitely aim to be posting on your stories every day. And I know this can be so hard to stick to because we all get busy and we run out of ideas, but I really think that if you sit down once a week for just an hour, brainstorm 7 ideas for the different stories that you're going to tell on your Instagram stories throughout the week, then you'll already have a starting point each day, and you really only need to capture anywhere from like 30 seconds to 1 minute of content. If you start going over that point, it's also going to become less engaging again. So you don't want to be posting like a million things to your story every day. Really, all you need to aim for is getting 2 to 4 different video clips and maybe 1 or 2 photos, and shuffle those around, mix them together for some good visual diversity, and then you're good to go. So it's not like you're trying to film like a daily vlog. You're not trying to put together a 1-hour documentary every single day. It's literally just 1 minute of content. And so it shouldn't take you that long during the day to actually post this. It's just a matter of coming up with the ideas. That's the challenging part. I would recommend setting yourself an alarm to remind you to post on Instagram stories. I personally think it's a really great approach to post 3 different times throughout the day if you can. But if you want to tell one cohesive story and you don't want to push it with a number of photos or videos in your story during that 24-hour period, then it's totally fine to just post all of that at one time and then let it live on for the next 24 hours. So don't stress yourself out with posting it throughout the day if that's not going to be reasonable for you. Posting at least once a day is a really good starting point. Then if you can work up to posting at 3 different times throughout the day so that you can keep pushing yourself to the front of that Instagram story feed, then that's even better. But we're all starting somewhere, so don't get down on yourself. If you are just now starting to pick up Instagram stories for the first time and putting content on there, don't get stressed about having to post 3 times a day every single day. Just start somewhere. And that can be posting once a day at the same time every single day until you get into a routine and you're used to that consistency. As you become more consistent, I'm sure you'll start to notice more DM responses to your stories, more engagement on the different stickers that you put on your stories, and you'll slowly see that reach continue to climb. My personal goal is to get about 10% of my audience to view my Instagram stories, so that's just about 1,100 people. And I get that sometimes, but sometimes it's anywhere from 700 to 1,000 or so people that view my Instagram story. So that kind of gives you a sense of what you might be aiming for. I do think 10% is a pretty ambitious rate. So just start wherever you are, and instead of picking a certain engagement rate that you have to get towards, just think about getting, another 10 people to view your stories every day, or another 50 or another 100 or whatever makes sense for you. Come up with a fixed concrete goal that you can work towards, and then you'll know when you've hit it, rather than just continually chasing some high engagement rate. So between having super valuable, highly engaging and interesting content and being consistent, you will see your Instagram story views increase over time. But like I said, you can't expect this to happen overnight. If you just post a story like this one time or even 1 week of content like this, you still might not see a huge increase. It really takes time and dedication to sort of show the Instagram algorithm you're being consistent, you're providing value, and to get your followers used to seeing that content from you. The longer you do it, the more your followers will start to look forward to that content and engage with it more frequently, and then you will really see the growth from that. So don't get discouraged, just keep on going and really try to have fun with it, because it is a very creative platform and you can take it in so many different ways. So like I said, if you're stuck with the ideas to get started, check out this video I made about 10 different Instagram story ideas for when you don't know what to post. These can be your first 10 for the next week and a half or so, and then keep on brainstorming, because I know you can do this. So as always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in this video. Okay, bye.